Greetings, Culturians, and welcome back to the channel. Now, this is one of the strangest weekends you'll ever find in the calendar. It's designed that way on purpose. There's a lot of misinformation and misleading information that leaks into this whole idea of weekend when it comes to this particular holiday. Leading into Thanksgiving is a big deal for Hollywood. They can pump up a lot of narratives, pump up a lot of films, and pump up a lot of box office expectations. All those things are important, especially with the studios being limited the way they are these days, and with the opportunity to lie less and less to educated consumers like yourself. Those are all factors in what is starting to become a manipulated period of time, even by the financial press, because we've got a story coming from the street that I think Niall, I think is this guy's name, is very misleading about. But overall, everything that we've been told since Monday has been misleading, not accurate, or at least not a solid indication of what actual performance has been. When we were headed into this weekend, Disney needed to make a comeback, a massive one, something that I don't think anybody thought was possible, myself included. In fact, if you listen to Pro and I over the course of the last 2 weeks, we were very disappointed in where everything was headed, whether that be Wicked for Good or, of course, Zootopia 2, we just didn't see the numbers working out in a way that Hollywood would be able to scream about. And yet they did. And maybe in a way that I think was not just misleading, but disgusting. And that's why the intro to this video is a little bit longer than normal. We're going to need to jump into this, and we're going to need to do it in a way that you understand just how blatant the misinformation is, and the fact that this weekend, while good, wasn't anything to write home about. So, here we go. Disney's holiday lies. It's a little strong, but it's not wrong. You see, Zootopia 2 supposedly jumped to $556.4 million, except you can't find it. You can't find it anywhere. Whether you check the numbers or, let's say, Deadline or Variety, none of these numbers show up anywhere, at least not in real places. There's an awful lot of assumptions being taken here, and if you're looking for a worldwide start of $556.4 million, you're going to be looking a long, long time. When you look at the Sunday update, and you refresh it, as Anthony suggests, it continued to have a wild ride throughout the weekend. Now, again, let's talk about that word, weekend. Weekend started on Monday. Yes, that's right. We've had a 6-day weekend as of the time that you're actually watching this particular video. And so basically you had nearly a week, or you had a week. It just depends on how you want to count it. And of course, the result here saying the biggest global launch for any movie of 2025 at an estimated $556.4 million through Sunday. That's an awful lot of estimation, and we're going to get to it. And the international portion of the box office is $400 million, except I can't find it. And we're going to go looking. I promise you that. There's a lot to unpack, according to Anthony. According to him, there's many records and performances of other movies in the marketplace. So check back for more updates. Well, I'm going to check back to multiple sources to try to find where all this money is and where it came from. You see, box office, according to Variety, for Zootopia 2, led the pack with a $38.5 million domestic performance on Black Friday. That's big enough as it is. In fact, it's one of those impressive performances that almost any movie would take at this point, including, well, Mission Impossible, Dune, almost anything that just happened to not quite reach the peaks or the apex of where they wanted to be. And Variety is right. Theater owners absolutely were giving thanks for Zootopia 2 and Wicked for Good this last weekend as they 1-2 punched their way back into the wallets of the consumers out there who go to the movies over the course of the holiday week. $38.5 million from 4,000 theaters. That's a pretty good Friday, and a number that indicates just how important Thanksgiving is to these theaters and the theater owners. With an overall performance of 97.7 million since it was opened up officially on Wednesday, except for previews and other places as well. A lot of people predicted a big number, a gross that is going to be upwards of 155 million over the first 5 days here domestically. Is that number accurate? Perhaps. There's a lot of ways to fudge these numbers, and they've been doing it ever since Tuesday. So can they make 155 million? Sure. Now, it didn't unthrone Moana 2, but you would think by all the press coverage it absolutely had. The highest Thanksgiving week earner of all time was 225 million over last year's Moana 2. That was over 5 days, technically 6, and it was clearly well over the $150 million performance that Zootopia 2 is likely to come in at domestically. And look, all praise should go to Jared Bush and Byron Howard for Zootopia 2, and it being as big a winner as absolutely Disney needed this time around. Now, to mention the fact that Wicked for Good hung in there for a second weekend and took home $26 million on its second Friday, even in direct competition with an animated juggernaut such as Zootopia. If the film actually hits $158 million, which Hollywood Reporter is suggesting, it will be one of the biggest feats in Thanksgiving history, except for one small thing. That pesky Moana 2. Again, everything we're talking about is, of course, based on estimates. So, of course, I always want to get directly to the numbers. And the numbers website is where we get those numbers on the regular with the entire domestic weekend chart. Zootopia is showing at a $96.8 million number, which shows its to-date earnings, I believe, which would put it through a 6-day window with a pretty substantial amount of gain. Also showing a 60% fall off or near 60% fall off for Wicked for Good over the course of the same kind of frame. And yet, specifically, when you look directly at all of the totals that I can find for Zootopia 2, you have $59.2 million domestic box office as of Sunday the 30th, as I'm recording this video. International box office has fictional numbers that I don't know where they came from. 400.4 million, which is why you're going to see some radical numbers over $500 million per performance for Zootopia 2 that could not possibly and certainly hasn't made $500 million to date. In fact, the worldwide box office claim on the numbers right now, as you can see here for yourself, is $459.6 million. From where? That's a good question. So let's scroll down and take a look at China. China supposedly made $54.3 million in the top 10 territories. And of course, this is all in US dollars, but these numbers say $54.3 million in China, 2.9 million in France, 2.8 million in South Korea, 1.6 million in Mexico, and somehow there's another $300+ million hanging out over here that aren't in the top 10 areas. None of that makes sense. Scrolling through each and every one of the top territories, there is no evidence of this performance from any other country, whether it be France or Germany or Mexico or Italy or any place else. There is no evidence of an international total over $400 million. Normally, this kind of thing wouldn't bother me because eventually we would figure it out, except I don't think there's any way we will. Where is all this supposed money coming from? And why are sites that are supposed to rely on actual numbers, like let's say The Street, Still reporting on fictional, what I see as fictional numbers. Zootopia 2 sees instant box office success for Disney, but there's a secret. Well, that's interesting. This is from the Niall Ridgely person over at The Street, a financial magazine that should be somewhat reliable. Disney Animation has NBC, Warner Brothers, and Paramount scrambling based on its key demographic. China? That's what I get from this article and from the way this is structured, because that's where all the money seems to be coming from. From the bullet points, it says here, Zootopia 2 breaks China's single-day U.S. film opening record, fueling massive international projections. From where? Disney's hit could join Ni 2, the Chinese-produced 2025 box office leader, as a billion-dollar international earner. Okay, where? And Zootopia 2 will compete with NBCU's Wicked for Good at the domestic and international box offices, setting the stage for Disney's Avatar Fire and Ash, which is already predicted to have a terrible performance both domestically and internationally based on its first few weeks of numbers, which I seem to agree with. And according to Neil, Zootopia 2 indicates that it's on track to become Disney's second billion-dollar hit of the year. No other studio has one, and it hasn't even hit the weekend yet. And this is an awful lot of pub for a film that's been out for 6 days, and for a studio that usually only has a takeaway from China of 20 to 30% of the money collected there. And according to him, this is a Bob Iger I told you so, when he overemphasized the holiday slate, saying it would rocket ahead of other film studios as it begins Q1 headed into 2026. At least that was his messaging on Disney's Q4 earnings call, which delivered a lot of disappointment. Disney fans and investors alike will be interested in the key indicators from the film's first 2 days that explain why it may pass and eventually outlast NBC Universal's Wicked for Good, which I think is quite possible and more than a little bit likely based on the wider demographic appeal for something that's animated like this. And on a positive note, because I'm often accused of not saying positive things, Jared Bush did a great job with this particular film. He and Byron Howard gave animation fans something to cheer about, to tout about, and hope about when it comes to future animation out of Disney, something previous leadership was unable to deliver upon. And the movie itself stands at a 93% certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes if you care about those things. Personally, I think you should probably go check out the Criticless rating and find out that it's pretty awesome over there as well. At the end of the day, it looks like Zootopia 2 will be a fine film, performing very well for Disney and getting near that billion-dollar price tag. Will it exceed that number? Hard to say. I would say unlikely, but people like my friend Odin have a little bit more positive perspective. And I tend to look at recent performance of other similar films and judge a little more harshly. And when stepping back and taking a look at the economy right now in the United States and around the globe, I would say films are not going to perform as well as they possibly could in a different kind of an economy. I would say the numbers are going to be depressed, and until people feel like they get value from their entertainment dollar, not only will films be down as far as spending goes, so will any other element of entertainment. But hey, those are my thoughts. What are yours? That's right. I'd like to know your thoughts about Zootopia 2. Did you see the film? Did you enjoy it? Did you like Ki K Kwan as the Blue Pit Viper? Did you enjoy the nuanced relationship between Judy Hopps and Nick? Do you think that they're going to further development the romantic elements there for the third installation? And do you think we'll likely see that over the course of the next 2 years? Your thoughts are as good as mine. Your opinions are incredibly valuable to me. So let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. As always, be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, and until next time, see ya! But probably not at the movies. Sorry.